Hey guys, so welcome to the third video of this series. This is the full guide here on how to source your private label products or Shopify products in China. And this is the whole step-by-step guide. In this video today, we're going to speak about customizing your product. So putting your logo on the product, getting custom packaging, and we're going to go through a bunch of questions here that we answer for you. Very first, we're going to speak about what to expect, if you should do it, what kind of process do you expect, how much time does go into that, what does it cost, if it kind of causes a significant delay when you get samples. What happens if you have an external packaging company? Who manages the whole process? How to get your logo? How to communicate your product changes with the manufacturer in a way that they understand it and they can quickly kind of do it and get it the way that, with the quality that you actually want it to. Before we dig in though, I want to make sure that you subscribe to this video because, as I say, this is a part of a whole series on how to source your private label product in China. So if you don't want to miss tomorrow's video, part 4 that's going to come out on how to place your order, paying your supplier, doing all of these things, make sure to subscribe. Also, anytime in this video, check out in the description the links to the other parts. In the very first part of the series, we spoke about getting your quotations, contacting Alibaba suppliers. I share my screen with you. And in that video, you also get a contact template that you can use to contact your Alibaba suppliers and get the answers back that you wanted. In the second video, we spoke about your samples. So what does your sample cost, how to get them, and the whole process of getting them. So I'll also show that process on my screen today because it becomes really important here when customizing your product. A lot of people make a huge mistake when it comes to customization. And I will share that biggest mistake because probably you are doing that. And that is also the reason why most people quit on sourcing their product. And even worse, most people, because of that reason, quit on their whole private label journey and launching their products on Amazon or starting to sell their products on Shopify. So make sure you watch the video to the end because I'm going to reveal that one biggest mistake that people do. If you're new to this channel, my name is Niels Olderup. I'm originally from Germany, but I moved to China in 2013. And since then, we've sourced more than 1,000 products here on the ground in China. I still live in mainland China in Shenzhen, and I'm teaching you on this channel how to source, sell, and profit from your products online. So without further ado, let's dig into this now and speak about the whole process of customizing your product with your logo and your packaging. Very first, what to expect. If you're sourcing in China the very first time, and you want to get the whole thing done, right? You want to get everything right from the get-go. You want to get your logo. You want to get custom packaging. The one thing that you have to expect is it's not the same way sourcing in China or communicating with suppliers that it might be in your country, okay? Because there are two different cultures. And I always like to tell a story for that. And we'll get into all of the details here in a minute. But it's so important that you understand the concept and what to expect before you start, okay? So for example, if I go to a coffee shop and I have a coffee, I want to eat something, maybe get a piece of cake or whatever, and I take my laptop with me because I want to get a little bit of work done. Ask the waiter and say,
"Hey, do you have Wi-Fi here?"
"Yeah, sure." Right? I go in, I put up my laptop, I get the food, I get the coffee, and then the Wi-Fi doesn't work. So I'm like,
"Hey, sorry, like what's the password for the Wi-Fi?"
And he goes, "Well, the Wi-Fi doesn't work today."
I was like, "What do you mean?"
"Well, the Wi-Fi doesn't work."
"Yeah, but I'll ask you, do you have Wi-Fi?"
"Yeah, we have. Just doesn't work today." And this is so typical. That doesn't only happen in coffee shops in China. That happens in every kind of situation, and especially when you customize your products. If you want to have changes to the norm, you will always going to run into trouble. It's all doable. Obviously, a lot of people have done that before you. It's all doable. You can do it. And if you follow the right steps and the right progress, you will have less headaches with it. It will never be completely headache free because of this kind of different style of communicating. And there will just be some things that you would never expect it to go wrong that go wrong. Right? So just go into that with the expectation that it's not going to work from just the get-go. It's not going to be just right on your sample on the first time. If you order a red product, it might come back pink. If you want them to put your logo on, they're probably going to put it upside down or the wrong way somehow. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying don't do it. Should you do it or shouldn't you do it? What's kind of the pros and the cons of customizing your product. What I always believe is when you're just getting started, just make it as simple as possible, put it out there, see if it does something. And if you can make some money on it, well, then go into customizations, get your logo, get your packaging, and then do it. You will never be able to save a product that doesn't work with whatever you do, that doesn't work without a logo or without custom packaging. You will never be able to save that product and make it work. Okay. So my philosophy is just always like make it as simple as possible and put it up. Then on the other side to that is, well, if you want to stand out of the crowd, and if you want to have something very special, and besides from your own ego of wanting something special just because it's your brand, right? If you want to have something that kind of differentiates you from the marketplace, maybe you do that in a little bit of other ways. Maybe you do that with your marketing, that you go for other keywords first, that you have a little bit of different methods how to bring people in, that you have your page copy specifically for one niched down target market. So if you have one product that can be sold to a lot of different people, maybe you just focus on one specific kind of person. That also differentiates you. But if you want to say, hey, I want to have it perfect. I want to have my logo on it. I want to have custom packaging. It needs to be, I'm willing to go through the process. Well, then here's the process. So let's jump into my screen. This is where we left off in the last video. We basically got quotations from suppliers and we got simple quotes. What that means is we got quotations for prices, including some changes that we might do on the product. But all of those suppliers are suppliers that we chose after we got simple samples. And that's what you want to do. You have to get a simple sample from multiple suppliers first. Okay. Let me show you that here again, just as a refresh from last video. Very first, we contact 40 suppliers to get quotations, right? We filter them down and we get simple we get simple quotes that we kind of filter down to 10. Okay. Out of those 10 suppliers that we have a good impression with, we contact 5 suppliers that we think, well, these are our 5 picks, and we get simple samples from those. Okay. So you need 5 simple samples without changes, without customizations, without anything, because you can choose your supplier just based on what's the quality of the sample and what's the numbers, what are the quotations, right? From then on, you have one supplier that you can see here. And only with that one supplier, that's the one that you go into the customization process, where you say, hey, I need to have my logo on the product. I need to have custom packaging. I need to have all of these kind of things. Okay. So let's go, and then let's go over all of the steps kind of that come into play now when you start customizing your product. If you customize your product, it's going to get more expensive. And that doesn't only mean the price per unit increases, but you also have to order a couple of more units. Usually you cannot put your logo on or customize those things below 500 units, especially if you do custom packaging. Those companies always need a little bit more of a volume to be able to serve you. Okay. So if you don't have enough funding for that, start simple, start small. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. If you have the funding, if you want to go into it and you want to do it, it can also actually increase the price of your product, right? So a lot of products, they look the same, but because one has a better packaging, for example, the perceived value of the product is higher, right? So that all plays a role here when we go into the process. Okay. And the very first step here is to kind of see what do you want, right? You want to have a logo. Do you need to have the logo on the product? Do you need to have the logo only on the packaging? What kind of packaging do you want? So you want to make a little bit of research, and very first, it doesn't matter if you start with a logo or start with a packaging, but we're just going to start with the logo right now. We're just going to jump into Fiverr, and Fiverr is just a freelancer platform that you can leverage. I like to get my logo from here. So if you just type in logo design, you will see a lot of people offering that. Okay. So there are lots of people here that you can buy. These are Hong Kong dollars, so don't freak out about the prices here. There's another platform that's called freelancer.com. Okay. Freelancer.com gives you the advantage that you can put out the job and you have a lot of people submitting their drafts. So it's like a contest, and then you can choose which of these logos do you like the best. So instead of Fiverr, you have one person. On Freelancer, you have a couple of persons that submit the entries, and then you can choose, oh, I like that best and that best. Okay. That's how you get your logo. One tip for the logo is to make it in one color only. Only have one color for the logo. As soon as you go and you have multiple colors on your logo, it's going to get a lot more expensive when you print your logo, because multiple color prints are always more expensive. So when you get the design, make sure that that's the case. Now let's look into packaging. Okay, the product that we were looking at as an example last time were metal straws, right? Now, the easiest thing for the packaging is to ask the supplier. So in the moment when you get samples, and we spoke about that in the last video already, is in that moment when you get the samples, you also order samples of the packaging. So you can kind of see what does a supplier already have, because it's always easier to customize that. You have to understand that the factory does not produce your packaging. They also just buy it from another supplier. So if they have their standard packaging that they always buy from that one company, then they also know how to work with them. They have a relationship already. It makes it a lot easier to say, okay, you send the factory your custom design and they take care of that for you. Because if you have a custom packaging from a third-party supplier, then you have to go through the whole sourcing process again, basically through all of this stuff here on the screen that you see, the filtering down, contacting multiple suppliers for their packaging, filtering it down, getting samples, getting quotes, all of that stuff, because that's basically a separate product. And then also you are the person in the middle that kind of has to orchestrate the whole thing to say, okay, factory A that made the packaging, when is it done? Show me the quality. Now we send it to factory B that produces the item. They have to put it together. It complicates the whole process. It can also be an advantage to you, of course, because if you are willing to go through that and your competitor isn't, well, now you have the advantage over your competitor, right? So it's all twofold, and you really have to assess for yourself what's the kind of trouble that you want to go through, and what are you willing to invest into something, especially if your product is not yet proven to sell. All right, let's look at all of these packaging options here. I think it's actually really cool. If you look through the screen and you just Google metal straw packaging, whatever your product is, obviously, right? And you can get really cool ideas about what's possible. You see like those normal packaging that kind of remind me to if you buy pans as a kit, they're usually packed like that. Or if you have, coloring pans. Then you have those here. These are like cheap blister packaging. So you have to know your market, right? You have a very different buyer for these cheap kind of blister packaging here, right? This guy is a very, very different buyer than, I saw one down here that was a bit crazy. Let me see if I find that. That was like a bigger box. So you have to know your market, because I'm not saying that the blister packaging isn't good, right? But if you have this one here, this has this is a lot more packaging than actual product, right? So you have to know your market. You have to know who are you selling to. And I'm not saying the blister is worse than this one. It just really depends on who do you sell to. So this kind of packaging, for example here, I would never choose that, because if you think about it, the people who buy this product, a metal straw, are probably people who are very, very environmental concerned, right? They don't want plastic straws, so that's why they buy something that's reusable, right? So, but if a person buys is on that state and wants something, that's economic friendly, why would you want to buy a huge paper box? That's so unnecessary, right? So you have to know your market. Maybe something like this is better. So just to recap, go with the supplier's packaging options and customize them is the fastest and easiest way. If you want to go and create custom packaging, have in mind who is your market, who are you selling to, and who would buy your product, But you can get great ideas here for custom packaging. There are all kinds of different packaging ideas. And then once you have that, you run through the whole process again with packaging suppliers. You are the one that orchestrating that in the middle. But really the biggest mistake that I see is people not following this process here. Because what I see a lot is people, they contact a bunch of suppliers, right? And they see kind of, okay, who do I want to have quotations with? Then they get simple quotations from 10 suppliers. And then from those 10 suppliers, they say, okay, now I want to have from all of you, I want to have a custom design, custom product, custom packaging. First of all, your sample costs for that are going to be crazy high. Second of all, how much time do you have? If you have a month or two where you do nothing else but just communicate with Alibaba suppliers, and you don't have hair to lose anymore in the process, and you don't mind to get mad in the process, go through it. Take these 10 suppliers, go through the whole thing. Every sane person, if you want to stay sane, you should only do that with one supplier. Make sure the supplier can deliver the quality that you want. Make sure the supplier has the prices that are okay and the conditions that you can source your product with. But only customize your product with one single supplier. Trust me on this, you will get nuts. Because with that one supplier, usually how that's going to work already is that you tell them, hey, I want to have, here's my logo. First of all, you have to have your logo first. Here's my logo. Please put it on the product or put it on the packaging, right? And then they put it on a spot for you where they think it's good, right? And they send it to you, and I can guarantee you it's not going to be good, right? So you have to make this very, very, very clear. When you send them the instructions, make a screenshot, put a little arrow on there, put your logo, kind of Photoshop your logo on it, or just kind of, you have to be as simple and as clear as possible to your supplier so that your supplier 100% understands what you need. And even though they understand it, it's not guaranteed that they do it right the first time, okay? So you have to go back and forth a couple of times, and it's always helpful to have someone in China who can get the sample and who can look at it. If you have a sourcing agent, they can take care of the whole process for you, right? This is the process that may take up to 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, depends on how many changes you have on your product and on your packaging. One thing I want to mention with that is that no one cares about your logo. Okay, the only reason that you want to do a logo is because it doesn't put you in the buy box with anyone else, because then it makes it a unique product, then it makes it your product. But you can do the same thing with packaging. So if you're just starting out, no one cares about your logo more than you do, right? You care about your logo because it's your brand, it's your new venture, right? And you should care about it. But the truth is that it can actually harm your sales. So if I'm buying a product and I'm just want to have something simple, like a case for glasses or whatever I buy on Amazon, and there's a logo on it, like a big logo from a brand on it that I don't know, that I don't care about, that I'm not gonna buy it. You know, because then I can go and buy the Hugo Boss glass, case, whatever I need. But if I just want to have a simple glass case, I don't care if there's a logo on it. On an iPhone case, I don't need a logo to be, there doesn't need to be a logo on it. Packaging, okay, maybe that's up to you, right? But you don't need to have that logo, okay? That's just something that you should keep in mind for later. Obviously, you can do it, and obviously, if you think you want to have the whole package, do that. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel, because in the next video, we're going to be talking about placing your order and paying your suppliers. So if you don't want to miss that, turn on that bell as well, because then YouTube notifies you when that launches. Also, let me know in your comments, what kind of questions did I leave out? What questions do you have about customizing your product, getting your samples, or any of the things that came up in the last sessions? Whatever you wonder, whatever I left open as a question, just put it in the comments below and I'm going to answer that. Also, make sure to check out the description, because in the description box, you can find all of the other links to part 1 and 2 from this series, and we're going to put the other parts in there as well once they're done. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me on this channel. My name is Niels Olderb, and I see you.